Hello and welcome to XAR on YouTube. I'm JR. Thank you so much for joining us as we finally christen one of our newest planes to showcase here in Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is the FlightFX HondaJet, and it is one of the best planes in Flight Simulator in my opinion and the opinion of many others. But we've decked it out with our newest mascot, Yumemi. This is actually the second plane that we've flown in Flight Simulator with our mascot, Yumemi, on it. We also have another one coming later with Sarah on it, but I figured I'd do this one first. So this is the FlightFX HondaJet. This is the E2 variant, which has auto throttle. If you're hearing a little bit of noise in the background, well, that's because if I cycle this around, we have it running on the external power over here. So it's a nice little small ground power unit because I've already turned on the avionics inside a little bit just to get things up and running before starting this recording. Let's see here. The tail art of Yumemi is by artist Chromium. Want to thank them for doing the artwork and for graciously giving us permission to use the Yumemi artwork on this Flight Simulator plane. And then after that, we handed it over to Damo, and Damo Designs put together this wonderful YuJet, as you can see. The HondaJet abbreviation, I think, is the HJet, so that's why we're calling it the YuJet. And you see a lot of wonderful things such as the winglets with Yumemi's control logo, the one she wears. And of course we have some wonderful PlayStation buttons here decorating either side of the aircraft. Really want to thank all those guys for putting this together. And I will leave links to their social media and whatnot in the video description. But right now, let's go ahead and go inside and check out the airplane. Alright, we are inside the plane, and as you can see, it is a wonderful day to fly. No, not really. We're recording this on a Tuesday afternoon in real time with real weather. And yeah, the weather in the northeastern United States is kind of iffy today. Got some high winds all over the place, low clouds, and according to some reports I'm reading, some icing in the clouds as well. What we're going to do today is take a quick flight over from New Haven, Connecticut, which is a nice small airport northeast of New York City. And we're going to fly it to Pearson Airport in Toronto so we can visit our friend Neff. As you recall, a few weeks ago, Neff was hospitalized after suffering a fall in his apartment and needed shoulder surgery. And as of the day we're recording this today, he's just been moved to rehab, out of the hospital and into a rehab facility to continue working on his shoulder that was worked on. So wishing the best for Neff, and we're sort of going to use this trip today to pay him a little visit. The airport that we're at today, once again, New Haven Tweed. I like the name Tweed. And this is a payware airport from Orbx. We will be flying to Toronto Pearson Airport, which is a payware airport by FlyTampa. So I've just turned on the basic systems here, and we're going to go through our procedures to start the flight. I'm going to put the yoke back here, and this is one of the first times. Whoa, no, I don't want to raise the landing gear. Using the mouse in here can be a little finicky sometimes. So as I was about to say, so this is the first time one of the first times I'm using Flight Simulator in 1440p. Doesn't look too bad, I guess. But I have a graphics card that I'm looking to upgrade soon, and hopefully when that happens, the game will work out just a little bit better. So we're here now. Let me go ahead and do our pre-flight checklist. One of the cool things about this plane, we have the checklist right up here that you can cycle through. And we have 2 separate displays where we can check various things. Okay, so the battery is turned on. The oxygen on the left here is checked. On and normal. Pressurization is normal. Electrical is on and normal. ELT is set to normal. Nose wheel steering is set to normal. Landing gear down. Alternate release handle for the gear is stowed. Parking brakes, which is this little thing over here, that is set. Flaps are up. They are up. Thrust levers are cut off all the way down. Speed brakes are retracted. Ice protection normal and off. The fuel panel is normal, and we have about 2,200 pounds of fuel for our flight today. Trim panel is checked and normal. Windshield heat normal. Pneumatic panel normal. Glare sheet panel normal. Chime is dark. Avionics initialization is complete. We let the avionics boot up already. Okay, so before we start our engines, we're going to go ahead and initialize stuff for our flight. We have our load manager here. It's just me today with a little bit of cargo up in the front, some baggage, and about 2,200 pounds of fuel. Will be more than enough for us to get to Toronto Pearson today. Let's go ahead into our Garmin system here, and let's put in our flight plan. So you'll see the display changes here a little bit. Our origin is Tweed, which is Kilo Hotel Victor November, KHVN. Our destination airport is going to be Toronto Pearson, Charlie Yankee Yankee Zulu. Oh, put in one too many Yankees. CYYZ. Alright, and this should be pretty straightforward of a routing. This is where we tell the flight computers how we're going to get to Toronto. Our first waypoint is going to be GAYEL, which is a GPS waypoint, a fix where the airplane will fly to. And then we're going to join an airway that will get us close to Toronto. So if I click GAYEL and load airway, it's going to show me all the airways that go from GAYEL. I believe the one we want is Quebec 818. And we're going to look for Wozy. There's Wozy right there. We're going to load the airway. And now Wozy's loaded. We'll enter our procedures now. Our departure procedure is going to be the Brookhaven 1 departure off of runway 20, which is pretty much a straight out departure. Wanted to stick to something simple today and nothing complicated like, say, New York airspace. So it's straight out, and then we vector ourselves to GAYEL. We take GAYEL to Wozy. And then from Wozy, we are going to look for the Ling 3 arrival, which is the arrival route into Toronto. Wozy. And we're going to look for runway 23. I believe that's the way the winds are blowing today in Toronto. Pretty strong winds up in Toronto, like they are here in New Haven when we're starting from. Okay, so Ling 3 Wozy, we're going to load. And I think we can load the arrival. The arrival will be ILS 23 NUDEC, and I will check the minimums real quick for that approach. I'll use some software to check that. That's going to be 808 feet. 808. So that's the barometric pressure. We will load that. Alright, so we'll go through everything else. I think the arrival route looks okay. Our initial altitude's going to be 2,000 feet on the departure, and then we bring it up to our cruising altitude of 40,000 feet. Much higher than a lot of airliners will fly. And I think that high altitude will be great for us today to avoid all these low clouds. I'll turn on the flight director, and I'm going to set the initial altitude to 2,000 feet. The barometric pressure is already set at 29.73. Alright, now we're going to do some other checks. I'm going to set our transponder to something random. Another good thing about this airplane, a lot of the systems here are automated, so you don't have to do too much other than, you know, fly the airplane and stuff. Alright, let's go to our sim options and do our initialization. Let's see, it's over here. We're going to do our system checks. And it's going to do its automatic checks. We have the fire detection going. It's going to do the shaking of the sticks. That's the stall protection. And then illuminating all the switches. It's going to check to make sure those are all good. And they are. Alright, let's make sure that everything else looks okay. I want to set our active navigation to the flight management system, or the FMS, so that looks good. I'm going to set our heading for departure to the runway heading. So if I look real quick, that's going to be a heading of 196 degrees. So I'm going to turn our heading selector all the way to 196. Alright. And everything else I think looks okay for the time being. At this point, I think we can go ahead to our startup checklist after we close the door. So I'm going to close the door by going to Aircraft Systems and by going here. And we're going to close the door. We'll leave the GPU powered in until we start up the engines. Alright, so we are ready to start our engines now. Let's go to our starting checklist. We will go over here. Alright, passenger briefing. So if I had passengers, I would give them the safety briefing here, much like if you walked onto an airliner and you watched the safety presentation either on a video monitor or the flight attendants tell you in the event of an emergency what to do. But we don't have any passengers today, so we can skip that. Rudder pedals are adjusted. Seats and seat belts, we'll fasten our seat belts now. Or pretend to anyway. Doors closed. Parking brakes is set. CAS messages, we're going to review those. The temperature control, we'll take care of it after we start the engines and stuff. Electrical volts, a minimum of 23.5 volts. We've got 29 volts on both. And now we're going to do the engine start. So we don't have a marshal. We'll just look around and make sure the area is clear. And then we will go ahead and do our startup sequence. We'll start with engine number 1. So 2 steps here. We're going to hit the engine starter. And then we're going to bring up the thrust lever to idle. We're checking to make sure that we have good temperature, good engine performance, oil pressure is building. That all looks good. All right. Looks like everything's stable on that side. You can look out here and see that the engine's running. Now we're going to start the left engine, or the right engine. Right engine set there. And 2's rising, ITT's rising, oil pressure's rising. We have a good start. All right. So now we're going to clear the remaining cabin power messages here. We'll turn on the cabin power, which is over here. And the temperature control, I believe we do it here with the thermostat. So we will set the mode for the cockpit and the cabin to auto, and we'll make it 72 degrees throughout the aircraft. Sort of simulated if you kind of look into the other areas here. Alright, now we're going to go back to the initialization and check our weight and fuel. 50 pounds of baggage. And sync the fuel on board. And then we're going to go and set our speed bugs for takeoff. So these are our speeds that we'll be looking for when we take off on our trip. Okay, so we will go ahead and turn those on. Alright, we'll go through the rest of our checklist now. Engine start and engine instruments are checked. Engine NDI says required. We will not need those now. I think we're going to turn those on though after we take off. External power is disconnected. Flight controls. Let's check our flight controls real quick. I have my T-Flight HOTAS 1, which I just had to replace not too long ago. And we're going to make sure we have full range of movement with our yoke. So that looks good. Now we're going to check the rudders. And we are good there. Alright, so wing anti-ice as required. Transponder code is entered. Flight ID, we are 201 Yankee Bravo. That is confirmed. Flight plan is entered. Navigation source is set. Altimeters are set, 2973. Flaps set for takeoff, so we're going to lower the flaps in the back. That will help us with some performance as we take off. Speed brakes we're going to check. The speed brakes on this plane are actually at the back, so look at the back of the plane. Right there. Those are the speed brakes, so it allows the plane to slow down after landing, or if we're in the air and we need to slow down and reducing the throttle doesn't do it, we can extend those speed brakes. So those speed brakes are good. Cabin signs as required. I don't think we need cabin signs because we don't have any passengers. And parking brake is now released. Alright, as we taxi to the runway, we will check the brakes, the nose wheel steering, and the flight instruments. Alright, now let's see how we're going to get to this runway here. I'm going to go full over here and increase our range and see where we are. Okay. So, yeah, we're going to turn right immediately and join this taxiway to get to 20. So, pretty straightforward, I think. I'll leave that up running in the background here. Alright. So, with that, let's go ahead and increase our throttle. As we start our taxi, the taxi lights will come on automatically. You see them turn on. Since it's dark today, you can see them a little better. And I will go ahead and reduce the throttle to idle. I'm going to go nice and slow because I don't want to hit into any of these other planes that are parked on the ramp here. So these are some of the planes that Orbx added into the scenery for this airport. Make it look a little more realistic. Alright, and we can continue on a little bit. Let me take you outside and show you how it looks. Alright. So we're going to check the nose wheel steering, the flight instruments are good. I'm going to do a brake check right now. I'm going to tap on the brakes a little bit. And those brakes are good. So, Brakes checked. Nose wheel steering checked. Flight instruments are checked. Alright. Give them a little more power here. What I'm going to do is set the takeoff mode here. And I think if I hit auto throttle, it'll also arm a takeoff mode on the FMS here. So when we add power, then the auto throttle will take over. Alright, 10 knots of ground speed. I don't think I want to do more than that. I'm going to go ahead and make this turn over here. And as per usual with these streams, once again, I've been a flight simulator enthusiast ever since I was a young kid. I believe my first flight simulator was Flight Simulator 4 or 3.1 or way back in the late 80s. That's the one I enjoyed. I do not have a pilot's license, though. I am not a pilot in real life because, well, I can't afford to get a pilot's license. Okay, it looks like I'm at -0 here on the altimeter, so the weather might have updated a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and stop here short of the runway just to make sure. Alright, so let me go ahead and turn on that. Let me set the altimeter. Okay, it did change actually. So the weather updated in real time as we were recording this. So we checked the pressure to make sure that's correct. Alright, now we're going to do our before takeoff checklist. Flaps are set. Trims are set at 4. Speed brake is retracted. No CAS messages. Navigation is set. Flight guidance is set. Told data, which is takeoff and landing data, is confirmed. We have a V1 of 109, rotation 113, V2 120. So that's all good. Takeoff briefing. We would run over a briefing if, just to make sure you know what you're doing in the event of any failures as you're rolling down the runway. Let's say something happens and you have to stop, then those are the procedures you review. So we'll say that is done. Radar as required, ice protection as required. Before takeoff checklist is complete. Okay. I think we are ready to go here. I am going to zoom out over here. Make sure I can see where we're going a little bit. And I'm going to get our timer ready. So that's going to be over here. Alright. Let's fly to Canada and let's see Nev. Gonna take ourselves onto the runway. I think I'm going to hit auto throttle here. Oh, nope. It's... Alright, so that didn't work. I thought that would, I thought that would arm the auto throttle. It must have been because I've added power that came on automatically, so. Alright. Now if I have no power and if I hit this... Oh no, it still wants to go. Okay. Let me change this then to FMS. And now I think we should be okay. Alright. So we're going to hit start. And now we're going to hit auto throttle. Here we go. You know what? That could be the case on the other plane that has the Sarah paint job. Might be operating a different way. We're going to get... little bit of a crosswind here as we take off. There's V1 rotate. Positive rate. Gear up. And our flaps are coming up as well. Yaw damper's on. And I'm going to turn on the autopilot to maintain our attitude. Check our heading, and let's see. Now I think we're going to go a little higher now. The climb rate is good, so flight level change. And we are underway. After takeoff checklist, landing gear up, yaw damper engaged, flaps up, thrust levers set by the auto throttle, flight guidance is as required. Ice protection, we're going to go ahead and turn on the ice protection because we're going to be going through some clouds here in a little bit. So the engine anti-ice is going to come on, everything else should act as expected. We're going to say we've been cleared up to a higher altitude, and we're going to have a turn to the west now. So let me go ahead and go back home and zoom out on our map a little bit more so we can see where we're going. And let's say we're going to turn to 270 degrees. I'll take you outside the aircraft real quick. Over Long Island Sound, and we'll be flying just north of New York City to our first destination. Now I'm going to set our cruise altitude at this point to 40,000 feet. In real life, this would not be the case. If you had air traffic control, they would step you up. But yeah, in our purposes, we'll just go ahead and... This is kind of one of the quirks with this, because you have to scroll this wheel up quite a lot. So now we're set to 40,000 feet. You see we're going to break the clouds right now, and again we have reports that we have icing in the clouds today, so we're going to leave the ice protection on. And cabin signs as required. We don't need them. Again, we have no passengers. Alright. As we are climbing, we're going above 10,000 feet now. And our climb profile is 210 knots until we get to a certain Mach value, and then we'll capture that Mach value up to 40,000 feet. The main key of this airplane, as we are now fully in the clouds, is economy. It's not going to go fast, and that's because we want to use the fuel in the best way that it can. We're climbing, we're going to check our pressurization. Our cabin pressurization looks good. It's already set our landing elevation for Toronto as well. And when we get to 18,000 feet, we will set our altimeters to standard pressure. This is a good opportunity right now to show you the route that we're taking today. We'll let Navigraph load our plan. Make sure this loads completely. So here we are right now. We're flying due west. We're going to go to our first waypoint of GAYEL here in just a moment. And then basically in a northwesterly route over northern New Jersey, southern New York. I think we go over Pennsylvania a little bit as well. And then Wozy, which is over Buffalo, that will start our arrival procedure. And when we get to Toronto, we're going to be kind of flying over downtown a little bit and then turning around to land on runway 23. That is our plan given the current weather conditions. All right. Let's see where we are now. Oh, we've cleared the clouds already, so that's a wonderful thing. We're going to go ahead and turn off the engine anti-ice. And we're actually getting close to 18,000 feet. The climb profile on this plane is amazing. And I think what I'll do here, once we get past 18,000 feet, I will set our altimeters to standard pressure. So in Flight Simulator, it's as simple as hitting the B key. So above 18,000 feet at some point you can hit B, and it should go to standard pressure. There it is. We are now at standard pressure, and I will check in with you guys when we get to 40,000 feet. Welcome to 40,000 feet. Lovely view from up here. Well, you can't see anything. I think this is the way it's going to be all the way to Toronto today. Yep. So we've just leveled off at 40,000 feet. I've gone through the cruise checklist. The plane is now speeding up to the cruise speed that we want to try to target. We've been in the air for almost 20, or a little over 20 minutes actually, and according to the calculations, we're looking at already 27 minutes or so from this point in the flight before we actually have to start descending for the landing in Toronto. The arrival route has some restrictions on the height, the altitude, which I'll show you real quick as I call this up. I'm going to get rid of this message every time. There we go. Ling 3, this one I think we want. So Wozy, Iston, Ling, Youth. So at Youth we have to be at 250 knots of airspeed and between 13,000 and 11,000 feet. Then at Bimpo we have to be level at 8,000 feet and we have to be at 210 knots. And then at that point we will just follow the waypoints until it's time to turn to the approach, and that approach is going to take us onto this runway on the northwesternmost end of the field. And we'll land on that runway because of the current winds, number one, and number two, the terminal for the general aviation planes is actually closer to that runway. In fact, I can check to see if it's actually shown here on the chart. Yeah, general aviation area. So we're landing on 2-3. And then we'll exit and then make our way over to this area over here. If you're flying a regular commercial flight into Pearson, you would arrive at one of the two terminals, either terminal number 1 or terminal number 3, which is more towards like the northeastern part of the field. So, yes, this is going to be a very quick flight on this plane. Let me give a little tour about how the plane looks if you look at it from the air here. You can see the YuJet is also under the plane too. How cool is that? Notice how the engines are attached to the wings like this and not to the fuselage. That's one of the things that helps make this plane a little more economical as far as fuel efficiency goes. Plane just bobbing up and down, maintaining 40,000 feet. You can see a little bit of the ground here where there are breaks in the clouds as defined by Flight Simulator. Now I am running this in 1440p and it looks pretty good right now. Let me see, I have a tool here that will tell me what my frame rates are. 45, 35, 40 frames per second. It's not too bad. There are clouds in here, so that might hamper the frame rate a little bit, but it's pretty decent. What I'm hoping to get in the not too distant future is a new graphics card. My computer is 2.5 years old, and I recently upgraded the CPU from a Ryzen 5 3600 to a Ryzen 7 5700X. The graphics card I currently have is an RTX 2060 Super, an NVIDIA card, and I've been just poring over all the research to try to find what kind of graphics card I want to get to replace the one that I have. I know that there are nicer graphics cards out there these days. They just released, I think, I want to say the 4070 they released. But yes, number one, they're out of my price range. And number two, I'm sort of approaching graphics cards like I do iPhones. I'll wait for it to work for a little while and then, you know, get an upgrade. The one I'm looking at right now is the 3060 Ti. So that's the one I'm eyeing right now. The price really hasn't changed on that in a little while. I'm hoping that maybe some sort of deal will come through in the days to come, but doesn't look like it's going to be the case. It seems to me, by some calculations I've looked up, that the 3060 Ti would do a lot better with my system than a 2060 Super. There've also been some debate about VRAM and how the latest titles will need more VRAM. That seems to be a niche conversation to me, though. I don't think I'm going to be playing any of the full-blown graphics-heavy games in the immediate future, so I think the 3060 Ti is going to be right down my alley. Of course, if that changes, I'll let you know and give you some updates on, you know, where we post updates, like our Discord or social media. If you like updates on Extreme Anime Radio, you can go ahead and follow us there. I'll leave links in the description along with everything else. And yes, hopefully we're going to get back to doing some more Twitch streams, maybe some more YouTube posts as well. We're scheduled to resume the XAR podcast tomorrow with special guest co-host Mika Zelda. We'll check in and see how they're doing, and also give you the latest on Nef Canucks recovery as well. So, really appreciate you guys supporting us. I know it's been a few weeks since we've been inactive with Nef's situation, and we will, of course, keep you posted with all the latest details. We are now, let us see, 4 minutes 40 seconds from our top of descent. So we're going to get started with our arrival preparations here. First, we're going to go to the nav radios here, and I'm just gonna, I think this plane does it automatically, but just in case, I'm gonna set our radios to 111.5. So we'll transfer that and transfer nav 1. So this is the frequency for the instrument landing system, or the ILS, that we'll use to get into Toronto. So we have our landing elevation set, and we are going to set our vertical navigation descent profile. We're going to reduce the altitude selector to, we had an 8,000 foot altitude restriction on the arrival. So I think what we'll do is we'll set this to 8,000, and then we'll try to manage our descent into the airport from there. Okay, so now we're set at 8,000, and I'm going to turn VNav on. So vertical speed and path is armed. So as you can see here, on both of these charts, we have top of descent. So when we get to that point in 2 minutes and 50 seconds, it'll be time to start descending the airplane. All right, we are now under a minute before top of descent. We see that the vertical path profile is starting to come alive over here. Up here at 40,000 feet, we've been having a pretty strong headwind from the left here, coming out of 250 degrees at 47 knots. Alright, so this triangle is going to come down, and once it hits the middle more or less, V path will show up in green. It should be happening in just a matter of seconds. V path. Okay. Down we go. And the plane is going to, in a moment, drop the power in order to maintain a certain airspeed. I notice that this capture is sometimes a little bit off. As you can see right now, we're sort of overspeeding a little bit. But it doesn't go by too much, and we can eventually we'll be able to compensate after we after the engines drop with enough power here. As we get lower, this warning will go away. If I wanted to, I could add a little bit of speed brakes to try to correct it. But as you can see now, we're just going under the overspeed warning over here, the barber pole. So this will clear itself out here. Actually, yeah, the digits have gone to white now, so we're in good shape. All right. Let's see if we need to do a descent checklist here. I'm going to turn this on and go over here to the checklists. We did this already. Landing field elevation verify set. It is 604 feet. Engine anti-ice as required. We're probably going to turn on the anti-ice again as we punch through the clouds over Toronto. Because of reports of icing. And when we get to our transition altitude, which again should be 18,000 feet, we will go ahead and set the altimeter to the local setting. Alright, so 47 minutes in now, and the SimBrief flight plan told us that this flight's supposed to take about an hour and 12. So another 25 minutes, maybe? We'll see how it turns out. All right, descending into Toronto. All right, guys, I wanted to give you just a heads up here that as I'm conducting the approach and landing in Flight Simulator, my computer is going to take a tremendous tank, if you will. The frame rate is going to severely drop, and I think it's because of the high settings running in Flight Simulator combined with my recording software, OBS, just completely taking over my system's resources. And I think this incident may justify me trying to get a new graphics card sooner than later. Well, you'll see what's about to happen. So let's go through this real quick. Because we're getting close to 10,000 feet now. Seats and signs adjusted and secure. Passenger briefing not required. Cabin signs not required. Avionics are set. We did put in the ILS frequency just in case. Landing data set and confirmed. So landing foot elevation is still confirmed 604. And I'm going to set our approach speeds in here. I believe, how would we set that? The speed bugs. Landing will be set now. V approach 110 and our reference for landing 105 knots. So we can go ahead and take this off. And as you can see, the plane's already slowing to 210. No cast messages. Approach briefing. Again, you would go over at this point your contingencies. You know, if we have any issues with the approach or the landing. And flaps to takeoff approach. We're not going to do that just yet. All right, so we will meet 8,000 and we will meet 210 knots here. Let's see. We've been lucky with the cloud so far, but I think as we get a little bit closer, again, we'll have to turn the anti-ice in the engines on. Not just yet. Actually, yeah, you know what? We'll do it now. We'll turn on the engine anti-ice. Because we're going to continue our descent from this point, and we just want to make sure that you know, we're already set for when we punch through those clouds. All right. See how it looks outside. Oh, we can see the coastline here. That's cool. Towering clouds in that direction, it seems. All right. So we're going to hit this crossing, and once we hit this crossing and we make this turn, I think we're going to continue our descent a little bit. It doesn't look pretty bad with the graphic settings the way we have them here. Alright, next direct track is happening now, so we're going to be making that right turn. Actually, over here you can see there's the airport right there. We'll be taking the long way around to land towards the southwest. Yep. Okay, so we've met the crossing restriction. We're going to go ahead and we're going to descend to 4,000. And this time we are going to do vertical speed descent, and do about 1,000 feet per minute and see how that goes. See, we're about to punch through this cloud now. And I don't know, I think the ceiling was around 4,500 last I checked. Actually, there's a way to check. Let's go to the METAR here. Should be able to get the METAR for Pearson. Winds 270 at 16, gusting 32, so it's going to be a little bit of crosswind as we land. Visibility 3,500 to 6,000 feet. View clouds at 2,000. Oh, the floor. I said the ceiling. The floor is 2,000 feet. So we have occasional showers and snow. Oh, that's nice. All right. So now I'm looking over here, and I want to see where we're going to join the approach. Probably when we get to 4,000 here in a little bit, we will make our turn towards this first fix, which is called New Deck. Now, in real life, we might not fly out that far to New Deck, but we'll do it today just to be sure that we're good for our approach and whatnot. Now, let's see. breaking through a little bit of the clouds. You can see some of the buildings they render for downtown over there. Pretty basic. Can't see much again because of the cloud conditions and whatnot. Yeah, we're continuing our descent here now. At some point we'll have to start reducing our speed as well. Looks like thick soup out here. See a little bit of the, actually we're breaking through a little bit now, aren't we? Oh wow. Okay. So it's not too bad. Alright. Looks like we're about to hit 4,000 here. No, I think what we'll do now is set it to 3,000, which is the our initial altitude for the instrument landing approach here. And once we get some information from the ILS, we will get it over on this display here. I actually might change the navigation to the ILS here in just a moment. So yeah, I'll do that now. I'll set our heading bug and I'll fly straight. So now we're off of the flight management computer. I'm going to change the FMS to lock 1, and that should give us the information. Yep, that's cool. Alright, we will now go ahead and turn left almost 90 degrees. So a heading of 330. We'll do it that way, I think. Whoop! That happens to me sometimes with this. Oh, we're really lagging here a little bit. Alright, we're level at 3,000 feet, and we'll be intercepting the approach course here in just a little bit, so let's see. I'll go ahead and set our speed manually. We'll drop it to 160. And we'll do our approach flaps here. Alright, I will do let's see, we'll point towards new deck here. That should get us to new deck, to an approach point here. Turn the VNAV off. According to this, we should maintain 3,000 until we intercept the glide slope. So should be there shortly, I think. Flaps set to take off on approach. We'll clear that on the checklist. Let's see. Not too bad. I'm going to turn off the anti-ice at this point. All right, there's our diamond for the glide slope, and the localizer's coming alive. So I'm going to turn on approach mode. Localizer will be captured. It might have to kind of deviate a little bit further to make sure everything's on the line. So once we've turned onto the localizer, I'm going to reduce the speed a little more. Alright. It looks like we're there. We have a little bit of rain, it looks like, in the distance, too, we're going to have to deal with. Alright. So all looking well, I think. Looks like this ILS doesn't give us a DME, which would tell us the distance to the runway. Alright, we're going to reduce to 140 on the speed. And again, if you know, if we were in a landing pattern with other traffic, air traffic control might tell us, hey, keep your speed up, blah, blah, blah. But we're going to go with the parameters we have on my checklist over here. Make sure that our altimeter's set. Alright, so when we get to Calvi, I think we will intercept the glide slope. So when we intercept the glide slope, we'll bring our speed down to the final approach speed and bring down the flaps and the landing gear. Let me set the heading. You see right now we have the wind gust coming off of the right side a little bit. Alright, glide slope is coming in. Once it captures, we will configure the plane for landing. Let's see how it looks outside. Well, it's about as dreary as when we took off, as if we never left, huh? Alright, well, this is a nice dramatic view here. Go that way. Okay. We're about to capture the glide slope, so yeah, I'll show you how the landing gear comes down. Down, we're starting to get that rain, as you can see. And we do see the runway over there, which is good. Nice, a little bit of a crosswind we're going to have to deal with here. Alright, glide slope should be going green here in just a moment. And it does. We're going to leave our altitude selector at 3,000. That is our missed approached altitude. And now I'm going to reduce the throttle to set our speed to the approach speed, which is 110. And our flaps are down. Alright. So, before landing checklist, landing gear is down and 3 green. Speed brake is retracted. Flaps, landing. Airspeed will be at VREF when we approach, and we will disengage the autopilot and the yaw damper prior to landing. So, our landing thrust levers will be idle, brakes will be applied, and the speed brake will be extended. Since this is the E2 model, the speed brakes will extend automatically. Radio altitude is 1,800 feet, so it's detecting the distance between our plane and the ground. And it's going down as we continue the approach. Everything looking good. The outside. my luck out here. A bit of a break with the rain. We just have to worry about the wind. So once again, we're landing into the Payware Pearson Airport, and it is by FlyTampa. All right. So about 200 feet above the ground, we will make our decision. Do we want to land or do we want to go around? Oh, look over here. I can't avoid seeing a racetrack even in Flight Simulator, but this is Woodbine over here, Woodbine Racetrack. We're landing right over the racetrack. How cool is that? That is a thoroughbred horse racing track, Canada's premier horse racing facility. Has a big grass course that goes all the way around here, 1.5 miles. I don't want to distract myself from landing. Alright. I'm going to go to VREF now. And I'm going to zoom in for getting off of the runway. So I have an idea. Alright. .500 feet above. So we are at VREF, auto throttle off. Yaw damper and autopilot are off. Alright, I'm flying the plane manually, and we're sort of crabbing a little bit because, you know, we're kind of aimed into the wind here a little bit. Minimums, we are landing. 2 white and 2 reds. We are on the, we're a little low now. I'll just pitch up a little bit. Oh, this crosswind is nasty. A little bit of lag there too. Oh boy, a lot of lag. All right. Welcome to Toronto. And I'm going to stop here. And as you saw, as we landed, we ran into a lot of lag. Yes, so therein lies the reason why I need a graphics card, a new graphics card. Because I think the textures loading from this airport, combined with I'm simultaneously recording this, the graphics card I have, I just don't think it is powerful enough to handle all of this. So, hey, look at the bright side. We landed. Here, I'm parked over here, and look at the top left of the screen. My frame rate is horrible right now. Between everything that has to load here and simultaneously using my recording software to record this video. So let me go ahead and get this airplane to its parking spot, and then we'll wrap everything up. Well, we are finally here at our parking spot, and at the very least we have a double rainbow in the sky generated by Flight Simulator. So what did we learn today? We learned that the HJet is a wonderful jet to fly in Flight Simulator. We learned that Chromiums and Damo Designs did an amazing job with the artwork and with the plane art respectively. And we also learned that apparently this airport from FlyTampa uses so many resources, and I almost made Flight Simulator unstable on the approach. So it's a matter of I have to, you know, lower the quality if I do this again, and or, as I mentioned earlier, I think I really need that graphics card. Because again, all the resources of the graphics card are being used between this recording and the Flight Simulator game. So, lessons learned, and hopefully I'll be able to work all the kinks out for any future streams or video presentations that we do. But we are here. As you can see, the rainbow is starting to go away. It's time to virtually visit Nefkanuk, and we hope to see you soon on XAR on YouTube or Twitch or on any of our social media platforms. Once again, please go to the links in the description where you can get all of the links to our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, and even our Discord. We have a wonderful and long-lasting Extreme Anime Radio community. I'm JR. We'll see you next time. Hopefully in better working conditions in Flight Simulator. Take care, everybody.